Welcome to Opinionated. My name is Anthony Feor, and now that the federal election is over, which I dubbed one of the most boring elections I've ever seen, and that's not just because I said it, but because it actually was boring. It unfortunately turned into a foregone conclusion, but still produced a few surprises here and there and saw one of the highest voter turnouts we had seen in a long time. But that's in the rearview mirror. Our new prime minister has selected a cabinet, and he's about to get to work and set the course and tone for the next few years in this country. But here's what we don't need: negative Nellies. You've met Nellie before, or better known as Debbie Downer. I tried to be politically correct. If your response to everything Mark Carney does is going to be negative simply because he wasn't your choice, or because the Liberals may not be your preferred party, then I really think it's time to be quiet. Now, I'm not a censor of free speech or your freedom of expression, but in the current economic times we're in, including a trade war perpetuated for no reason by a president with more insecurities than an incel, this country needs cheerleaders. The bulk of what this election was about was our Canadian identity, our sovereignty. That's what was on the ballot. It was one of the major issues for a majority of voters. And if you don't believe me, just ask the president himself. But I don't want this opinion piece to be negative, because I've seen some changes in this country, and I've seen the temperature come down just a little bit, and I want to talk to you about what I mean by that. Well, let's just start from the top, because the flags are starting to come down. No. Not the Canadian flag, the F. Trudeau flags. And thank God, because next to Pokemon cards, that is one of the most juvenile things I've ever seen in my entire life. People are starting to talk to each other again. They're starting to feel hopeful. In my circle, which is dominated by strong conservative voices, people are a little bit more hopeful about the future of the economy and are hoping that Mark Carney does a good job for us. People see the difference. We have to keep this going. We have to keep talking to each other about ideas and issues. I did a panel on Election Day on this network, and it was an amazing experience, filled with some really great people who didn't think like me, didn't look like me, and definitely didn't come from a cultural background like mine. We didn't beat each other over the head with clubs or throw things at each other. I didn't flip the table over. We showed mutual respect and an understanding that some people in this country are just going to think differently than we do. This is the direction we need to keep going in. And that doesn't mean that you have to jump into every single political conversation. Sometimes walking away is healthy. If you don't want to talk about it, just say you don't want to talk about it. I've been saying that to people for the last 3 weeks. I don't want to talk about it. You'll have to watch my TV show. Because that's what I like to do on this show. I don't want to talk to only people who think exactly like me. I want to learn why people think the way they think. And that's kind of what we do here. That's kind of why I wanted to do this, because the public square needs to invite all voices. And yes, some voices are going to be stronger than others, sometimes more forceful, sometimes more belligerent. But you have to learn to accept that to truly understand the makeup of this country. Am I tired of hearing about Albertans and how the rest of this country disrespects them? Yes, I am. I was tired of that 10 years ago, but it's not going anywhere. And the only way for me to understand why they feel like this is to have a genuine conversation and to not just assume that they're anti-Canadian and that every single one of them is a separatist who wants to pour 10W30 on their cornflakes. This is Canada. It's a big country, and it's growing and changing. More and more as immigration picks up and as people learn to evolve. I love this country, and I'm not going to stop talking about it. I'm not going to stop talking about the issues. You may not like my political views, and that's fine. I really don't care whether you agree with them or not. What I care about is whether you're willing to put in the effort to understand why I think the way I do. The same respect that I would give you if you disagreed with me. It's what we do here, and it's what we have to do in this country. You want my honest opinion? Ruin the dinner party. Talk about politics. Try to understand your peers. It's worked for me, and it'll work for you. Now, I can't help you if you've got underlying anger issues that make it impossible for you to mentally accept that people are going to think differently than you. That's a you problem. That's not our country's problem. What I've seen in this country and what I'm starting to see happening now makes me more hopeful. So let's keep that going. And when we come back, different voices, different opinions, and we're going to talk about the direction this country needs to go in. We'll see you when we come back.